I'm glad to have y'all here for an educational webinar and workshop. So again, today's workshop is all about our newest tools in Studio, which are AI Writer and our Docs feature. And more practically, today's webinar is more about how you can do more with less, how you can transform your multimedia production strategy to lean more heavily on video to be what feeds your written content, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen here. But before I get started, I wanted to just ask y'all a question of what written content do you still create a lot of? So when it's time to launch a product or a marketing campaign or sales collateral, what is some of the written content that is, the biggest slog that is not that fun to create, but you always got to create it and it's just part of the process?
Blogs.
Yeah.
I mean, blogs probably the most, next to just the usual data sheets. Every product page, one sheeter, data sheets, gathering all the info.
Yep, love it. Josh, how about on your end?
I mean, the same. I guess I'd also add in any of the long form downloadables. Those are kind of killer, like the ebooks and stuff like that, where you're compiling lots of data into one concise thing.
I would love to have time for a white paper, but
sure.
No.
Yeah. I feel that. It's brutal. And so what I'm hoping to show y'all today is how you can leverage MarketScale Studio's tools to make that process way more streamlined, way more collaborative, and centralized while also being decentralized, in the sense that all of your multimedia assets can now be sort of localized around one core hub, while decentralized in the sense that you involve all needed parties in that process without the, slowdown of, I got to bounce this between the SME and this, sales lead to approve. And then I got to get the designer to collab on the language as well, because it's too long. It won't fit on the PDF, et cetera, et cetera. Imagine if all of that was localized as well. So welcome to the workshop. Let's jump in. I got you with the tagline, right? I'm never writing a blog again. Well, maybe you'll need to write a little bit of a blog, but at the very least, we're going to break down how to go from video to written masterpiece with Studio, and specifically AI Writer and Docs. So like y'all mentioned, right? There's a lot of different types of content you've got to create. Written content, right? Tweets, podcast summaries, there could be a press release, a promo email, you name it, right? It's all very familiar and it's rather daunting. Of all of the content you need to create, it's like the one that we can't break out of, It's, you can't break out of this content.
They did, like, right after it happened, right after they made it to the once they were able to get there and see everyone else and like get off there.
Oh, I think Stephanie might be talking about something else.
And
I'm muting her. There we go. It happens. No worries. Hey, classic Zoom moment. But yeah, we all understand the lift here. Of all the content you need to create, video is the most important, right? But you can't seem to get out of the shell of having to include written content in some capacity as well. There's PDFs, there are tweets that need to correspond with your videos, there are emails that need to promote your content. So it's all important, right? And so written content is not going anywhere. The big one that really gets in everyone's way, that you need for SEO building and that takes a lot of creative energy, is blogs, right? Horror word. Oh my God, not blogs. Okay, they're scary. They're time consuming. They take forever, right? They're either too siloed, it's just you having to craft a blog on a huge important piece of news on your industry or a trend, or it's too collaborative. You have too many people that you need to run things to or get perspectives on for you to go live with this new blog, when you just need that SEO content. You just need to feed the beast, right? Then it's full of research and expertise. You need to bring the right people to the table to make your blog stand out and not just be fluff that checks a box. But like, why go through all the effort of checking a box if it's not going to help your SEO and it's not going to engage your audience, right? And then no one reads it. You create all this nonsense that it's just like, what is this? Who's reading this? And then it just goes out there and you get the SEO win, but at some point you had to make a concession. It's not as engaging as it should be. So it's a barren wasteland of content. Okay. What if you flip that on its head? What if blogs were no longer that kind of lift, but rather a simple extension of where the real thought leadership lies, which is leaning on the SMEs who give you your perspectives and leaning on video, which a lot of us love to communicate orally, over having to type out all our thoughts, leaning on video to help feed your written content, right? So what if creating written content was faster, more collaborative, informed by research, and also could be supplemented by good video? So all your written content now doesn't just have to lean on the written component, but can also take advantage of quality video, which is the shared language we all now most enjoy. Folks want to watch the YouTube tutorial. They don't really want to watch the Q&A, right? Or they don't want to read the Q&A. They want that, show me how to do it. Well, that's where Studio comes into play. And we've just launched our newest features, which are going to help make that process straightforward for you and are going to unlock a lot of cool new strategies to level up the quality, the speed of execution on written content, but also who gets involved and how they get involved. So let's break them down, right? You've got AI Writer and you've got the Docs feature. These are complementary features. So let's say that we are writing a blog of some kind, right? The AI Writer workflow is you start with some kind of video thought leadership in the platform. So this is either uploaded into the platform, you record it in the platform. It could be a podcast, a conversation you record. That then generates a transcript. Every video has a transcript. That feeds AI Writing, which feeds into collaborative docs. And now you have one hub per video for omni-channel publishing. So again, thought leadership to transcript, to writing, to collaboration, to publishing. So let's start with AI Writer first, right? So per usual, you got to start with content. And there are a lot of instances here where you are creating content downstream from video because the video is the core deliverable. But there's also written content where the written content is the core deliverable and video is maybe merely a supplement or is feeding you the initial insights. So that could be a podcast, right? There's a roundtable with me and 4 other guests, long form conversation on hospitality customer reviews as like a data point for making hospitality brand and business decisions. Okay. There's an interview with Scott Waldrum of Squirrel Systems at a trade show, doing some thought leadership, perspectives on his product and how it fits into trends in the industry. There we've got a self-recorded video from one of our healthcare data scientists, Arpita Hazra. So lots of different content you could be working with here, but you want to start with the content, right? What that's going to do then is it's going to generate that transcript. So here in Studio, if you didn't know, every video has a transcript. So you can download a transcript here, hit the ellipses, download the transcript, and you've got a structured 99% accurate transcript, right? It's even going to get a lot of the proper nouns that maybe are like super industry specific. So like Acor was the name of this brand. It actually got that correct, right? They did the study. It understood the name of my show, Road to the Dallas 100, all that good juicy stuff, right?
Hello.
You can also download the transcript here in the Media Studio. What that does is now each video has the capacity to feed that transcript into AI Writer. So what we've done is we've built a tool that is first-party insights. So rather than, while we do love ChatGPT and all of the ways that it can fit into workflows to generate written and visual content, sometimes we're dealing with hallucinations or you're dealing with feeding info out into the cloud that you're not super confident you want to plug into ChatGPT in the first place. So what if all of that was localized essentially into a sort of first-party environment where each video in Studio has almost its own instance of ChatGPT feeding off of the unique insights of the transcript of that video to power written content. So now you could go in and you could say, okay, I want to generate, let's say, a blog post, right? So you click blog post and it's going to generate a starting draft of a blog post for you based on the insights from that transcript. You could say, I just want a video summary, right? This is, going on YouTube and I just need like a basic summary, or this is a podcast episode and I need a summary. Boom. You could ask for a LinkedIn post. I'm promoting this and I need the multimedia content to help support the language around my content. LinkedIn post, right? You can also submit really custom prompts. I'm a writer myself, and so while I like some of this pre-made stuff, I'm very picky about content that I'm going to release that's got my name on it. And so I've been working a lot with ChatGPT, coming up with prompt engineering strategies to bake and put together this flow to tell AI the structure that I want for my content. So check this one out, right? I told it, using the transcript, write the following short article. I want the first graph to pose this kind of question. I want it to then tease out the name of the show. I want it to tee up the various guests who are going to be on there. And then I want a bulleted list with direct quotes. Boom. Punched it out for me based on the transcript from, that was like a 60-minute conversation. So it's going to feed through all those insights from all the different guests, the structure of the conversation, and it's going to give me this. Then you can also tweak it, right? I asked here for, I want next to their bulleted list, teasing out the core actionable takeaway the source had in their transcript. It didn't quite get that. It only gave me the bulleted list. So I can then go back in and say, great job, keep this exactly the same, but in graph 3, make sure to expand on, what their core contribution to the conversation is, right? So very flexible tool. You can put in your own prompts. You can leverage the existing prompts for very classic written content. And then you can store multiple of these, right? Because most content you release nowadays is multimedia. You're not just creating one blog post. Usually that blog post is also corresponding to a LinkedIn post, a tweet, a video, a summary on Vimeo, a knowledge-based article that's going to also be part of this blog, whatever it is. Now all of that can be centralized in one content creation hub. And it can all be downstream from quality thought leadership and subject matter expertise that was communicated on video first, right? So that's step 1 for generating the content. Any questions there on AI Writer, just kind of at a high level?
Actually, I see it's noted for LinkedIn and Twitter.
Yes.
X, but it sounds like they're going to go back to Twitter, whatever.
I know, who knows?
Is that just as an example, or what about Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, so
Instagram's pictures, but yeah.
So we've structured these as our starting 9. Mm-hmm. Downstream, rather soon, we're going to allow for custom prompts, so you can save a consistent prompt around something like that. Facebook, for example. Some of this too is you could, instead of just pressing the LinkedIn button, you could just go to the prompt, the prompt insertion part here, and you could just say, please type me 200-word YouTube description, include emojis, and give it a casual, fun language, and it would churn that out for you, right?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah,
I was noticing the type of language, the directions you were giving to the AI writer.
Yeah.
First graph, second graph. Is there a certain wording that tells the AI this is what I mean? Graph, paragraph. What does it matter?
Yeah, that's all up to you. I use graph because I'm coming from the journalism world, and that's usually how we talk about it. But you could easily put first paragraph, second paragraph.
I didn't know if there might be some shortcuts.
Tips and tricks.
Yeah. Just
totally.
To better say that.
I find that with tools like these, it really helps to start to consider yourself a prompt engineer, and you're playing with it very much like a tool, flexing and pushing the boundaries of how do I phrase things so that it really understands what I'm saying, right? Because there's that sweet spot of you give too little direction and it's going to try its best. You give too much direction and it's trying to process conflicting perspectives and just too much. So this is a lot of direction, but it's really structured. So it helps it think through how to make sense of it. So
it's just a good outline.
Right, exactly.
Just knowing
I have a vision.
A good outline. Okay.
Right. I have a vision for what I want that final piece to look like. I template out instruction as if I was telling someone to create it. And then I work off of that, right? So you can save multiple write-ups again, right? But now this is where the fun collaborative part comes into focus here. Because oftentimes you're creating written content that not only you has to give a green light to, you need other voices involved in the creation process, whether that's tweaking your mistakes or clarifying language or making sure to add certain nuances about make sure to call this number or make sure that we mention this stat about this product because it's so important. That's where the docs functionality comes into focus. So when you're done with a prompt, at the bottom of the prompt, it'll say send to docs. Now you send this into essentially a collaborative Google Docs style ecosystem where you can bring multiple users. You can see here 2 users online, or it could be 10 or whatever. Everyone goes to the same link in Studio, and now localized within that same video, you have the ability to collaborate in real time on the written content, right? Now, this isn't really any different than, let's say, Google Docs, but think about the workflow ease that comes from everything being localized in one hub around the same project. And you're able to do this for your whole suite of multimedia deliverables for a video. So you're able to collaborate in real time on the summary, on the tweet, on the YouTube post, etc. Right? So as you can see here, right, my colleague Ben Thomas, you know Ben, right, Allison? You worked with Ben. Yeah, cool. So my guy Ben is here. He's highlighting this, right? And then I'm also down here working on something. So you'll see the cursors in real time, right? But there's also a lot of other things you can do within here that also leverage AI. So you could, highlight a paragraph and say, I want emojis in it. Summarize this. It's way too detailed. Translate it, right? You come up with your whole blog and now you need the Spanish press release or something. Highlight the whole thing and say, translate to Spanish. Now you bring your Spanish SME in and say, hey, please review this for me. Leave comments. Make sure that I didn't mess up language or that this translates and makes sense, right? Make shorter, make longer, simplify language, rephrase, continue writing, right? You're using this to create a blog. You feel like it got the first half nicely, but it's not capturing the rest of the conversation. Continue writing. I want more. Give me more to work with. And then you can leave comments too, right? Here, leave comment. You can then leave a comment where, right, I don't like the word delve. GPT loves that word for some reason. So I say, please get rid of like burgeoning also. Burgeoning classic. Toss that one. Also add some more specifics from the interview. So now you've got a workspace that's collaborative and that lets you bring multiple people to the table to help you execute on your written content. Again, downstream from good thought leadership in the first place. So that's where you can now start to see some of the use cases come into focus, right? You could use this for initial drafting. Yeah, you might still need to write a blog, but you now get the initial structure of it out of the way. You give direction on kind of what you'd like to see, and you don't need to start from, square one. You're starting from square 10, and now your life's made a little simpler. You can use this for all your social media copy, right? Leverage quality finished video. You can just say, instead of having to think about, how do I turn this into 100 words? You just ask it to deliver 100-word social media post, Facebook post or something, right?
Question.
You can use it for standardizing your write-up styles. If you got one structure for your blogs you really like, you can do a prompt like I did. Save your prompt somewhere. Coming soon into the platform is the ability to save your own prompts. And then boom, I want blog style A constantly for this. But then also capturing thought leadership from subject matter experts. Now, this is, where I think the workflow really opens up and is a way to think about how to use this, not just as sort of a downstream from a video deliverable, but rather thinking, how does capturing the initial thought leadership that I need to inform a blog, let's say the subject matter expertise, how does getting that on video make that easier for me? And how can I then take that and turn it into my blog? So let's say you need to write a blog on a trend that your senior engineer, he needs to be the one that gives you all the details. and you're hounding your senior engineer. You're saying, please write out what I need to know for this, or point me in the right direction of research. But you know that it's just going to be more straightforward if you can sit down with them and say, can you please explain to me, like I was 5, this concept? Just talk me through it. You interview them, you get what you need, right? All of that's captured on video, let's say, within Studio. It could be a mobile audio recording, or it could be you use the conversation room in Studio like a podcast and you just host a sort of on background journalistic type conversation, right? So when written content is your goal, consider starting with video. So consider capturing the subject matter expertise you need to feed your press release or your blog or your white paper on video. Not because you may even use the video. You might never use the video. Just because orally, how will it make it easier to communicate those insights, to get them from the SME or the leader or the colleague or the external voice that's going to feed this? How will video make that easier? So instead of seeing a roundtable interview here, see a meeting with you and your whole team talking about the key things that we need to know about, Dolby Atmos and how that's going to change how we sell our products. Instead of an interview at a trade show here, see your product marketing lead giving a demonstration in real time on their newest product. They're going to be in that headspace when they're at the trade show where they can communicate it right, communicate it with energy. They got the script down. So you want to leverage that for your supplemental content. Instead of seeing, a thought leadership submission here, see an on-background self-submission from someone who goes in Studio, hits the record button, and gives, hey, today I'm going to be talking about new advancements in particle physics, because I know that Allison needs to, write a blog on particle physics. She's like, no, please, I hope I never have to do that. But let's just say, right? So now you've got video that's feeding you the thought leadership you need to help supplement your written content. You have the tools in Studio that make capturing that content easier, whether that's sending a media request to a user to submit content, whether that's having them sit down for a conversation in the conversation room in Studio, whether that's asking them to they're a power user, so just get in there and self-record, right? Give me your perspectives on this topic. I need it for a blog. Then you get a transcript from that great thought leadership. And like we've broken down, then you've got content that you can specifically feed into AI Writer and generate content off of, right? So let your horizons expand and see these are tools that can fit into a lot of different workflows that help make creating that written content that is inescapable, right? Help create that content in a more straightforward way, in a more collaborative way, and in a way that lets you scale, and maybe create more, maybe break into that white paper. Gosh, you want to get that white paper out there now? Maybe you really can, because you can decentralize the thought leadership, the expertise, the data from the people that are, they've got touch points on that content. They can share it over video, and now you can use that to help feed your written content, whether a first draft or a final piece. And that's my presentation here. Any questions, anything that y'all want as guidance that you want to get more perspectives on, or that I can help clarify about how the tools work and how to make use of them?
I don't.
Anything? No?
Myself. I mean,
Cool.
That makes perfect sense. That's what it's always been the challenge, is because you've got the people. I'm not the expert. I'm the expert on pulling it together and making it pretty. But I need to go and bother people for that. And it's always a struggle. But if I can, I know a lot of guys, they're off site or on site somewhere. They could be in another country, or say, look, answer me this one question. And maybe it's just an audio. Sometimes they get freaked out by being on video.
Totally.
So just make it an audio. Just tell me, talk to me, just go. The rest will be handled. Just
exactly
vomit information for me, and to know I could not be there and still capture it, and then I can do what I need to do is a nice thought.
I'm one of those guys who When I know it's time to call mom, I'm most plugged in when I'm driving for 30 minutes, Honestly, I'm the multitasker type. I lock in when it's like I've got my sort of primary motor function assigned to something else. I can actually hone in and have a more engaged conversation because I think I've got undiagnosed ADHD or something, but like the brain loves to bounce around. So often your subject matter experts, they have a wealth of insights, but getting them in front of the camera or getting them to type it all out and sit down and just please give me what you need, not going to happen. If you just ask them, look, when you're on your way to the airport today or over the weekend when you're chilling at the grill, whip out your phone and just literally just like stream of consciousness. Give me your thoughts on this subject. What comes to mind? What are the most important bits? Now you've got an audio file. They can upload it into Studio with a request link, or they could text it to you. You could upload it into Studio. And now you've got a great transcript that can feed a written piece of content and can be leveraged to help you synthesize what are the takeaways I need to help feed my white paper, right? So simplifying, getting the people who need to participate in this content, simplifying that process and getting them more involved in a way that doesn't, break the bank or, break their minds either with the kind of lift or the breaking into new content territories they're unfamiliar with.
Hey, Daniel, is there a way, if it was a live conversation, this sparked my thought when you said like in the car, it's when you tend to have really, it's just for whatever reason, I'm the same.
Right.
But if I'm in the car and I've got my VP on the phone, is there a way in Studio? Or is it simply maybe I'm just recording it through my phone in audio or some way? But is there a functionality maybe in Studio that can help me when I'm on a live call or something like that to record it and then I can push it back in? Or is it going to have to be something recorded outside of the platform and then I download it and put it into the platform?
So I'd say probably the best workflow there is to consider it like you're capturing an audio asset that you're then going to feed it into the system. Like there's not a lot of integrations right now with like live phone calls or the ability to sort of feed audio that you're getting immediately in and get real-time audio insights back. Those are really good ideas though. And I'll bring those up with our product designers.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking if I could have the phone call, a Teams call.
Yes.
We'll just do a Teams call and then it's recording.
Totally.
And then I just take that file and I plop it in.
Exactly. Okay. Right. If you need to involve 20 people across leadership, sit them down for a Teams call, make sure it's recording. Then you pull that audio or video file, you upload it into Studio, and essentially you don't even use it as a piece of content. You just use it as an asset to help feed written content, help map out a workflow, help map out an action plan for your team. I mean, there's so many little business operational workflows where you could drop something like this in.
Okay. All right.
But yeah. And then you can also consider like Studio has the conversation room also. It's a max of 4 people, but if for some reason you wanted to bring subject matter experts into Studio, it's at webcam, it's during the workday, and you want to record a conversation there, you can start and end the whole process directly in Studio as well. That's another way to think about how to use this.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Sweet. Dan, Josh, or Kim, any questions? Anything come to mind that you want some clarity on, or any use cases that come to mind?
Not for me. I mean, I think it's some of the steps that we're doing already. It's nice to kind of have it consolidated, into one ecosystem, I guess.
Exactly.
Take it. Yeah. So
I'm totally excited. We do a podcast, thought leadership, so I could turn these into articles that we post on our blog. I'm always looking to repurpose content somehow, and I usually go from written to video, but to go from video to written, I am stoked. This is very cool.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Super cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see what you create.